Hello there. We have been talking about Fichtean curve and in media res. Now, if as we have talked about that Fichtean curve is all about fluctuation and how these fluctuations in terms of intensity of a scene can be accentuated in different forms or something else. Now, let's understand that how this fluctuation is also find a variation in one of other story structures known by the name of in medias res. Now, before we dive into medias res and understand how it is employed in a screenplay, let us first understand the name in medias res. Now, the literal meaning of in medias res is into the middle of the thing or in the midst of something. It is a literary device which has, you may be hearing it for the first time, but it is a old method. Even Homer or Shakespeare, they have used this particular technique, and they have made, we know their stories, we know their creation and how they are regarded so high in the history of world, in the world of understanding, learning, in playwright, as a playwright. So, it is also termed, but not necessarily as the inciting incident. Now, what is inciting incident in medias res? Why I am saying that in media res is inciting incident. Now, this is something which is in liaison with the Fichtean curve. Now, if you have seen that Fichtean curve is the fluctuation part, and it is talking about the inciting incident. It is talking about how into the middle of things or how in the midst of thing. Now, this is something like, suppose if you before I tell you something, think of a situation that when you have gone in a cinema hall, 10 minutes of the film has, you were not able to reach this, the show started 10 minutes back. So, you are entering in the middle of something, it has already started, 10 minutes have gone by, and now it takes some time for you, once you are seated, it takes some time for you to grasp that what is going on, how it should have started, why this thing is happening, because you have missed the point, because you have missed the beginning, which is technically called the setup part of the story. Now, interestingly, sometimes directors, you know, uh, they love to start from what is called hook point. I'll be talking about hook point also. So, rather than starting the film in the conventional way as we are in a habit of watching, you start the film with some scene from the middle of the film. Now, I give you a situation. Imagine that there is somebody who is going, who is passing by on a road. It's a calm LA, and somebody comes. This is how two people are passing each other. Then suddenly something happens. That person takes out a knife and jabs it, and then you cut the scene, film, then start somewhere else. Now, if you, it may shock you that this is how the film was starting. Somebody was walking on the road. It was absolutely calm, serene environment. Two people are passing each other. You do not know who they are, but one of them takes out a knife, jabs the other person, kills him, moves off. Now, this can really confuse you. What was that? Why? Who is this person? Who is that person? Why he has done this to the other person? So, you tend to psychologically get into the film to find out why this happened and why this is the opening scene of the film. So, basically the logical point of a film is to start a film which has got a beginning, middle and end, that I was talking about as Aristotle model of structuring the film. But it is neither the middle nor it is neither the beginning, some part of the middle or maybe some part of the end also, you do not know, because that sort of a thing, that this is the part of this is a part which has been taken from the middle of the film or from the end of the film, is only when you watch the film. But you have just started watching the film, so you do not know whether that is the beginning or the middle or the end. But the interesting question is that why directors or writers or creative people write their stories in this manner, or direct their film or edit their film in this particular manner. Is it not confusing to the audience? So, which formula is right? Putting the film in linear order is right, or putting the film in non-linear order is right? Now, the very logical answer to this particular problem, that either your film should be linear or 10% linear or 20% linear or 80% non-linear or 70% linear or 30% non-linear, this sort of a calculation is purely at the wisdom of the whosoever is leading that particular film. Sometimes even producer leads a film. There is no denial of this fact. Sometimes the writer is powerful, he has a good say in the project, he or she, though gone are the days when I am just putting a very hypothetical situation when writers really have a say in the editing process or the way films are made. That is unfortunate, but what can I do right now for that? I am just trying, I am contributing my bit to make you a good writer, a thinking human being, a creative human being, by explaining you all these things, that when you get some position, have your say, have a say in a say, so that you can actually say, So, whether your film is linear, non-linear, what percentage of linear, what percentage of non-linear, it all depends, again I said, on the pace of the story. It all depends how many conflicting interest you have in the film, or how many subplots you have. Maybe that was the story of one of the subplots, or maybe subplot character in the film that you started with, which I will be exemplifying, and I will give you a very interesting proof of that also, and you will go and watch and say, yes, that was absolutely, at least that was logical. True or false is absolutely your call, but whether that is logical or not is absolutely, this is what I am trying to pursue. Now, one of the strengths other than directing the film for a director is that he is also designing the film. Now, sometimes when I talk to directors, they actually hate this word called designing the film, but this is like later on, when you are able to direct 7-8 films, then when you do the content analysis of those films, then you really actually find a sort of a invisible design in their films, like David Lean will have a very interesting design of the film, though this is not something that a lot of directors appreciate, but there is a design, there is no doubt. They call it creativity, but there is a pattern, there is a design by which they operate, and when you put 6, 7 or maybe 3, 4 films together, then you find that this is what the characteristics of their film, which later on is done by a lot of academicians also. Sometimes even the director is unaware of that, but when they give 4 or 5 examples simultaneously and extract the same element from each scene, then that starts the designing, understanding the designing part of that director. Now, why somebody is not starting linear in a linear fashion is purely an aesthetical call. I want my audience to engage immediately. Like, suppose this is what my mindset is. I want my audience to engage immediately from the first scene. The obvious solution, or rather conventional or unconventional, whatever you call it, the only solution I would say is to put or start your film with high stakes. Watch all the James Bond films, especially Daniel Craig James Bond films. It is all the film. Like if you are going to watch a James Bond film, like when I used to watch in my college days and even up till today, I knew that if it is a James Bond film, you cannot miss the opening of that film, because that is the high point that they have strategized their franchise in that way. You know, there is not, it's not a matter of whether that is right or not right. You know, why do they start in a non-linear fashion? Interesting, they start in a non-linear fashion, but gradually towards the end of the scene, they actually do something that makes that that converts that non-linearity into linear order, and interestingly that connects very well with the earlier film also. And like Casino Royale and then Quantum of Solace, you know, these two beautiful, watch them one after another, then you realize that what I am saying is absolutely logical there. Now, so starting your film with a very high point is like when we talk about Fichtean curve, you know, they respect, set apart, and then gradually in a fluctuating manner you actually accelerate, you know, your scenes or problems or fun for that matter, or suspense or action, you know, whatever you are, whatever your genre is. But in medias res, in it is basically known to start with the high point, and you know, they are unapologetic about it, and at times it really work well. In fact, if I say that Bahubali has used the same technique, he would say, no, no, Salim sir, how this is possible? You know, they, but I'll exemplify it. Now, if the director wants audience to, you know, curious or want them to discover the answer, the best way, you know, if, as I said, that if you really want your audience to be with the character, you know, you start with this sort of a thing. Okay. Another advantage of using medias res is to push your audience into chaos. Now, this is a very dangerous statement in terms of writing. Uh, Technically, if you ask anybody, do you like chaos? Majority of them will say no, you know, because chaos, one of the characteristics, one of the contributing factor of chaos is that it's not controlled. You know, that's why people don't like chaos, because it cannot be controlled. But interestingly, when you read more, bigger organization, you know, I would not take names, they love controlled chaos. I mean, if you talk to some CEO of a big company, they follow, they if not follow, they understand the importance of controlled chaos. Now, obviously, film is a controlled medium. So, when I am talking about that you put your audience in chaos, technically what I am saying is that you put your audience into controlled chaos. Now, what is the advantage of having controlled chaos, or what is the advantage of having chaos? Now, anything is chaos if you are not able to find a order in that chaos. Now, suppose for a young child, climbing on bed can be very chaotic, okay, that he or she wants to climb on the bed. Now, because her height is, you know, the bed's height is more, child is small, and he is not able to reach, you know, he or she is trying to reach. So, it is a very chaotic exercise for that child. But if that child knows that if I put something next to me which is up to the height of my knees, and that is something that I can climb upon, and if I climb on that, then I can easily go on the bed. Now, that chaotic situation, the moment you put some order in that chaotic situation or in that chaos, now that, you know, there is a struggle in climbing on the bed, there is no denial of this fact for a small child, but at least now there is a order in that chaos. So, like I say that lot of time, lot of film critique make fun of action, that the protagonist hits someone, he or she bounce like a football. You know, I see a lot of videos making fun of not only Indian films, South Indian films, Japanese film or African films, or for that matter Korean films. They also have got their, you know, goons flying in the air. There's no problem of that. You know, I put my kick next to the face of a goon, and then the wind is blowing and his hair is like in the opposite direction and his skin is vibrating and all that. It's everywhere. That's not a problem. Now, the why you may not like this sort of a projection, but somehow it is very appealing also, because you are actually in the middle of a chaos where things are technically illogical, but because you have put an explanation, now you have put an order in that. Now what is an order? Now in Ravan, if Ravan kicks a goon, then you will accept कि भाई हवा में बाल पीछे उड़ सकते हैं. But if some normal guy kicks like that, you will not accept it. Reason? Because there is no logical order in that. But if that person has trained in a gym or has gone through a very intense training, so you can accept. So there is a chaos, it's a controlled chaos. You have to put an order and you can get it accepted. You can get it accepted. This is how advertising works. This is how films work. To an extent now the way writers are writing is working, and this is how advertisement works, this is how radio ads work, this is how advertisement on digital media is working, and people are liking it. So, the audience is experiencing the same drama, you know, the moment you open the film with lot of intensity. So, even the audience is also living that experience along with the character, because what is happening in medias res is, you know, in the middle of the thing, like suppose if you are like think of James Bond film, he is like, the film opens, there is a sea front, and then there is a road which is like on a mountain, and then there is a tunnel, and this is how they, you know, clash with the opposite party, and lot of bullets are fired, trucks are there, car is there, everybody is trying to kill James Bond. Now you think it like, अरे यार अभी तो film शुरू हुई थी. Now this is something like a scene from a climax. You know, that sort of a mounting is done. That sort of a projection is done. You think, okay, have I entered in the wrong cinema hall? You know, it's a multiplex, so you know you have got timing. But then you realize, no, this is not the climax of the film. This is the beginning of the film. Now, why director is using this in medias res? Reason being is that he wants you to share the next seat with the character of the film. You know, to put you in that intense situation, to put you there at the spot in the film. Now the you know, now let's understand how this device is used in different films. Okay, there is a beautiful film called Saving Private Ryan. You know, which was released in 1998. There is another very interesting film, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I think most of you have seen that. Let me talk to you about. I'm not talking about Saving Private Ryan. It's directed by I think Steven Spielberg for sure. Very interesting. No, Band of Brothers was directed by Steven Spielberg. Save It Private Ryan was maybe directed by Steven Spielberg. You have to check it out. Band of Brothers was directed by Steven Spielberg. Save It Private Ryan, just check it out. I'm sure it is also directed by Steven Spielberg. Now, if you have seen Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, how the film starts, you know, all those companies, logos and everything is fine. Then there is an aerial shot of Budapest. It's like it's going in, and after meandering is like closing to a rooftop. Okay. Now, when it is closing to a rooftop, suddenly the scene cut to a door on the rooftop, and there is one person with a bag is running absolutely furiously, in a uncontrolled manner. After 2 seconds, you realize that a lot of hitmen are behind him and they are trying to kill him. Okay, you know that you are going to see a film called Mission Impossible. Obviously, Tom Cruise has to be there. So, as the door opens, your subconscious brain tells you that it is going to be Tom Cruise, but it's nobody. At least not Tom Cruise, and you do not know who that person is in the story. So, in that sense, he is nobody. Now, he is being chased as Tom Cruise will be chased. The stakes are as high as Tom Cruise will be there in a scene of that sort. He is performing all those gimmicks that Tom Cruise will be performing. He falls from a roof, because there are two hitmen behind him. So before he jumps, he throws something on the in the street from the rooftop, and by the time we are showing the shot, there is nothing. But by the time he falls on the street, on the road, there is a bed. At least a flatted, what's that sort of a cushion which has got air, so that sort of a cushion is there. Then I actually, when I saw it for the first time, I did not get it. I said कि ये कहाँ से आ गया? But then when I saw it again, then I realized that he actually throws it physically. So that is a logical explanation. Again, I said it's very chaotic, but very logical also when you see it very minutely. Now, he has a bag obviously, and there is some documents there. So now he is like, he has surpassed that situation. He is safe. He is moving. Suddenly now there are two things happening at this point of time. His phone beeps, and the scene that I said, there is an empty street. He is walking, now very confident that the problem is resolved. We see a girl coming, okay, very simple, sober girl coming. So he is not like threatened, her hands are in her coat, overcoat. They are passing, suddenly his phone beeps. There is some image which is, scanning, which is like buffering technically, which is buffering. By the time he sees the image, on screen, on film screen, it is still buffering. By the time this girl, who is innocent, absolutely harmless, she takes out gun and kills this guy who is performing as Tom Cruise will be performing, of that status. By the time this guy falls on the street, in the empty street, that buffering completes, and for a second that girl's photo is there in the phone and it says assassin. Now, these are the details that, that sort of an action our main actors will do in Hindi films or in other films. He is technically he is not a known character in Tom Cruise universe, and he is performing that sort of that level of action. Now think, what are the things happening on a intellectual level? First of all, you have gone to see Tom Cruise in the film, which is called Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Obviously, you have seen promotional videos and everything around. So, you know that you are going to see Tom Cruise. The first scene, Budapest, extreme long shot, extreme long shot. It's moving, there is a person running. If you miss that one shot, which is the opening of the gate on the rooftop, you know that it is Tom Cruise running. He is not there. I am just telling your expectation. He is performing all those sort of actions which Tom Cruise expect to perform, but he is not Tom Cruise. He is like, he is of some importance. Every hero is important in their film. He is killed. Sometimes heroes are killed. But he is not Tom Cruise, because you have gone to see Mission Impossible and it's Ghost Protocol. Now, understand that your mind is actually now what your mind is expecting from the film. If this level of action is with somebody who is less known in a Tom Cruise film, now what sort of an action will Tom Cruise be performing? That's why when you watch when you watch Amir Khan film, that if he has performed this sort of this, if he has delivered this level of acting, now what level of acting will he be performing or will he be delivering in his next film, or for that matter if you like Ajay Devgan or Shah Rukh Khan or Akshay Kumar, whatever. So that is how psychology works. That is how your expectation as audience work. So we'll give you high drama, but he is not Tom Cruise. Now think of something what Tom Cruise will be doing. That's why he takes a ride on a motorcycle, jumps off the cliff, or he hangs himself to an airplane. So you have to set the standard. So when you start your film in medias res style or following Fichtean curve, you are actually setting a bar for yourself, for your film, for your audience, and you actually, as you do promise in real life, as you make promise in real life, you are actually promising your audience to wait for next 2 hours, and we will be giving you good entertainment. We will be giving you the value for your money that you have invested in the film. Now it's like investment. It's no more, that's a different area. I'm not talking about that. Otherwise, I'll again will be carried away by all these things. Now, the next scene is also very interesting. This is the first scene that has happened. Now, the next scene is that there are prisoners in the jail. Suddenly, the gates of that jail start opening. Obviously, the plan is to rescue the protagonist from the jail, but a lot of other things happen. But if you put these two scenes, when you go and watch this film called Ghost Protocol, Mission Impossible, this is almost of 10 minutes of duration. And these two scenes, if you are only watching that film only for 10 minutes, these two scenes, you wonder how these two scenes are connected. Now, I give you some very good examples of in medias res. There is very beautiful opening scene in Forrest Gump, it was a film which was released in 1994. That my mama says, he says, Mama always said that life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you are gonna get. Now, this one line, which is a very famous dialogue from this film, is actually explaining the entire film. It is actually not. It is actually his mom has actually said in the film, but Tom Hanks is actually, or the character Forrest Gump is actually telling that the next 2 hours that you are going to watch me, or the director is saying that the next 2 hours that you have come to see my film, it's like a box of chocolate and you do not know what you are going to get. What a beautiful way of starting a film. Now, there is another very beautiful film which is American Beauty. It was released in 1999. The film starts in a very, home, the way you and I used to use camcorder in a home, in our home. So, a boy is shooting a girl and she is talking about her father, and the girl says that someone really should just put him out of his misery. She doesn't like her father. So, the boyfriend says that you want me to kill him for you. So, the girl says, yes, would you? Now, you know what the film is going to be all about, obviously. And then the father is introduced, and let me tell you the dialogues of that film. My name is Lester Barham. I am 42 years old, and in less than 1 year, I will be dead. Of course, I do not know that yet. What a beautiful way of starting the film. Thank you very much.